Oh my god. Oh, you can turn it right up. It freaks the fuck out.
Because
Yeah, so I think maybe the gain picks up on everything.
right.
The lower it is, the less it picks up.
Hello, Sam.
Oh, I'm very happy to see
Fuck off! You teased me when you were painting the mural. You were like, and I was like, "Fuck, am I
I
going
don't
to
think I was, man. I don't think I did.
Look, I've got a
Hey,
I've
look,
got a
this
pad.
fucking thing is not fucking central. Lifisk. Fiddle-lifisk.
I'm going to take notes on this interview, Sam.
Yeah, good. You should be. Well, are we recording now?
Thank you for giving us the time out of your busy Friday
A busy Friday.
to speak to you about your work. I don't know. I don't think there's any point like introducing you or what you do or who you are, because I think that if someone's clicked on this already, they probably have a reasonable idea who you are and what you do. Would that be right?
I don't know. Maybe.
I hope so. The fucking better at the end of the day. One of the things that sticks out in my head when I was speaking to you over the period of time I've known you is the amount you travel. As somebody who like fucking hates travelling personally, I don't know how you do it, and I'm wondering if there's any travelling tips that you have, because I'm about to do a wee bit of travelling this winter, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Mate, I'm not a good traveller.
No.
I'm not super confident with travelling. I mean, I travel a lot, but I'm not that guy that's going to travel to like India and haggle with the locals for stuff. I'm not really confident like that.
No.
I don't know what sort of tips.
What
you have
I'm meaning, do
where
you
are you
take
going?
Valium?
No.
Because I've got an hour flight ahead of me next in like 3 weeks' time, and I'm thinking about just taking a Valium, but it's going to fuck me up the whole rest of the day because I just hate flying. It's on like a tiny wee plane I'm going on as well. I'm not like...
The tiny wee planes are better because you can see how they're working. You can see a propeller. You can
see the
feel
pilot.
every
That's
bump.
frightening.
Whereas if you're in a big plane, it's like sterile and you don't feel things unless you get major turbulence.
Yeah.
You don't understand how it really flies because you can't see things working. I reckon the small planes are better.
The time that you're on a plane is an issue because like if you're going back home, how long is your flight to Dubai? About 7 hours. And then a fucking another 7 hour flight to Australia.
No. So it's a lot more than that. So my
Is
home, so my hometown is just south of Sydney. So
Wollongong,
it's the nearest city to where I'm from. Nowra is the town that I'm from. But that'll be a 7 hour flight, 7.5 hour to Dubai, and then depending on where in Australia, like I think it's 12 to 13 hours to Sydney, 13 to 14 to Melbourne.
Is it?
It's a big jaunt. It's like 21.5 hours of direct flying time.
and that's on like an Airbus of some kind, some big
it'll
huge
be on
motherfucker.
a really big thing. Yeah.
Because you've just came back from Colorado, but were you in? I feel like you were just in Colorado, then you were in France, but then you were in Sweden, or did you just go from Sweden to Colorado to back home?
Okay,
Glasgow?
so I was in Sweden in May. I think the first week of May.
Right.
I don't know. It's been a busy summer. I've been Sweden, and then where was I after Sweden?
I felt as if you were like in France or something.
I've been in America twice.
Really, this
summer.
year, this summer
I've
already?
been in France once.
Yeah.
Sweden, England.
Sweden was
I
Artscape.
can't even remember. Oh man, have you turned your phone off?
Yeah, I turned
I
it just
didn't.
ring.
let me turn it off.
Sweden was Artscape. What was it in Colorado? What was the festival called there?
That was Crush Walls.
Crush Walls, right?
Colorado Crush.
What has been like your favourite one this year? Because the one in fucking Sweden, I know has been going on for a couple of years. I've met the guy Daniel. I know him through Conzo. Used to do Secret Walls.
That's right.
He's a really nice guy. I spoke to him many years ago in the art school in Glasgow.
Yeah.
He runs that one. Artscape?
Yeah, he runs that with Tor. That might have been my favourite just because I'm such good friends with them.
Yeah,
So it was nice to see them and to see a crowd that I'm already familiar with. Actually, New Art in Aberdeen ran so well this year. I was surprised by that. And it was really well organised.
Absolutely.
I was really, really surprised. Everybody told me it was really well organised, but I think it ran smoother than any other event that I've been to. The sort of thing like you have a multiple number of WhatsApp groups, and you send a message to one of them saying, "I need a brush."
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
5 minutes later,
I found that
someone's
so
there
fucking
with 20 brushes for
Absolutely,
you,
yeah.
and it's like, holy crap, like a choice of 20.
I wonder if that's
super
like
quick.
is that some sort of like Norwegian Calvinist work ethic that they
I
have,
don't know.
that they're just like right on the
I
fucking
just
ball
think
from the
that
ground
they've
up.
budgeted in money for production,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people don't have that luxury. Maybe, I mean, they brought in a dozen people from Norway, then they had
That's right.
a dozen or more people on the ground up in Aberdeen. So
Yep.
there was a huge team of people just working on production and all the frills and stuff. It went seamlessly from my point of view.
And they've
Maybe
been
there was
going a
major
long
problems,
time, though,
but
haven't
it
they?
seemed
They seem to have been, I believe it was like a music festival to begin with. Martin restarted,
Was
and
it?
then the art came
You
into
know
it
more than
eventually.
me.
Well, I've been part of it for 2 years in Aberdeen.
Did you
and
go to
Stavanger.
Stavanger as well?
Yeah, I went to Stavanger. It was brilliant. That's where I'm actually going to later on in the month, but it's not anything to do with New Art. It's actually through another graphic design school over there. But
Nice.
the guys at New Art are fantastic. But so do you think what budget is maybe what plays the difference to a certain extent?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I know festivals, if they fly me in and there's no budget for like an artist fee, I go away feeling a little bit not as good
Right,
as the
okay, fair
ones
enough.
where
Yeah,
I
you would
walk away with a little bit of pocket money, or more, a payment,
Yeah.
which is, what you're really after.
And it must have been good to, I guess, get another big mural up in another Scottish city, especially somewhere like Aberdeen that's like relatively untouched by that. Even though New Art has been there for a few years, it's relatively untouched.
I never really paint in Scotland, and if I do, it's always Glasgow. It's maybe every 18 months I paint a big mural here in Glasgow. But I've painted in Edinburgh, I think, twice.
Right.
And they were both more than 10 years ago.
Wow, really?
I've never painted in Dundee. I used to live in Stirling and Dunblane, so I've painted a whole bunch of things there, but not for 10 years or something, or more. There's another mural of mine up in Aberdeen. I didn't even go to see it. It's inside a pub somewhere.
Really?
I think it was just
Was it a
around.
commercial job?
I think it was. I mean, I did it about 10 years ago, but I think it was literally next to where my wall was this
wonder.
year. But I still didn't
Must
go
have
to
been
see it.
tiny, like in comparison.
It's in like
to
a
what you
beer
want.
garden or something.
Right, okay. Because that brings me on to the next question about when I first seen I think the first ever painting I seen of yours was the Vote Simeon's the Vote Simeon Apes Getting Smarter painting. And I mean, again, that was fucking tiny if you compare it to what you're doing now. Up in Finniston, just close to where we are right now. That was 2011. Was it like, I believe so, 2010, 2011. Was that shortly after that? Was that when the kind of offers started coming in to start travelling to these things? Because
No,
I
I was
feel
already
like
travelling at that point.
you were,
Yeah.
but off your own back, or you were being invited to festivals.
A little bit of
'cause-
both, but there wasn't such a huge festival culture then.
No.
So that's grown every year. Even now,
Really?
every year it's bigger and better. Well, better's sort of
bet
debate.
this time.
It's sort of debatable, but there wasn't as much opportunity for huge wars back then. But I was still traveling. But I don't know, like with everything, the more you do things, the more you get offered stuff, So,
Did you feel like as soon as offers started coming in, it kind of justified what you were doing in a way? Because I often think, rightly or wrongly, as soon as you start maybe getting attention from people that are a bit further afield from where you live, is that the point where you say like you're starting to, I use the term make it, but I don't even really know what make it means. But is that when you start getting
I don't know about
feeling good about what you're doing, basically?
Well, yeah, of course, to a certain extent. But I don't know if I've thought about it in that way. More surprised that I get, especially in America, because I've not really painted in America very much. It's a market that I haven't really tapped into at all. And I find it strange when I find out that my largest number of social media followers are from America.
Right.
Because I can't work that out because I haven't exposed myself to them yet. Or when I meet someone in America and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Smug," and I say, "How the hell do you know that?"
Wow.
Like, that's crazy. How do you know that? Or that that they fly me in for a thing in America, which is only a sort of new thing. I haven't really done American events, and people are super excited to see me paint. It's like it's just the internet, I guess.
Well,
but that's what flips me out the most. That
So
certain countries like South America, like Colombia, I've got a huge number of fans there. I've never been there. You know, like how do they find
the
you?
algorithms are doing something to put you
Strange.
over there.
Yeah, Brazil. A lot of people in Brazil. I've never been to South America.
Does it start with like a small? I mean, I'm asking you. You're not a software engineer, neither am I. But like, I guess does it start with like a little bit of chat between people sharing images in that country, and then the algorithms kick in and they start showing people more of your images over there?
Maybe.
Because if you've not got a
Who knows?
connection there or an agent there, or
But
you're
I
not tagging
haven't-
things there.
I haven't noticed like certain pages promoting my work that would explain that. I don't know. Maybe it's just in those countries more people use social media.
Yeah. You've kind of seen, as we spoke about, like 2010, 2011 till now. You've seen before a lot of festivals with a lot of funding. You've been a street artist before Instagram was a thing.
I don't know if it was called street art then, but okay.
What was it called? What was
I don't know.
Muralism
It was like
or
murals or
wasn't
graffiti art
Was
or
it graffiti?
something. Maybe.
I guess if you're painting letters, but
I don't know. I always consider myself a graffiti artist.
yeah, really.
Yeah, I think a graffiti writer is someone that just paints letters, and a graffiti artist is a more full spectrum graffiti painter.
So does the graffiti donate? Does the word graffiti mean spray paint basically? Because can you be a graffiti artist if you use brush,
I don't know.
bucket paint, brush and stuff like that? Is that?
Yeah, a lot of graffiti artists use that.
Do you think mural artist is a bad name though?
I don't
Or
think
like
mural
muralist
artist
or-
is.
no,
I
street artist?
I'm not huge on the label of street art
Sure.
because I think it's been used by people to commercialize what it is that we do, amongst other things. I don't know. It's just a label. Why do we have to have a label in the first place? Why can't we just be artists?
True.
You know.
Yeah. True.
I'm just an artist. You're just an artist. Why are you a sign painter? You're just an artist.
Yeah.
That paints signs sometimes.
I don't know.
Paints walls. Paints a whole bunch of other things.
I've got some weird like issue with artists sometimes because a lot of my exposure to people that called themselves artists in my early life was not. I didn't respect the people's work, or the not so much the work but the effort that they put into their work. I thought that an artist was someone who studied at art school basically, and that's just me with a chip on my shoulder, whatever, not liking that term. But I've never been able to accept that term artist, and it's so stupid because it's all in my mind. But artist is never a term that I've liked. I've always trying to get somewhere that's more, I don't know, industrious sounding or more sounding as a. Because like if you
What
speak
do you
to
like then?
if you speak to the
you?
man on the street, a fucking cab driver, and you say you're an artist, their eyes are just going to roll because they're just going to think you're just a fucking wanker, basically. But I don't know, is that's a West of Scotland
Does everyone think I'm a
mentality?
wanker?
Taxi drivers, taxi drivers definitely think we're wankers.
Shit.
But I wanted to go back to the thing about Instagram because I feel like we're a bit of a slave to these algorithms in a way, and we're a bit of a slave to our Instagram likes, and it certainly does to a certain extent drive my output because I want eyes to be on what I'm making. But where is that line where I have to stop? There's plenty of street artists, mural artists, graffiti artists that really put a lot of time and effort into their social media, and certainly for you, we spoke about before, that's something that you're not hugely comfortable with. You're not a fucking selfie queen, and a lot of times, but from your own admission, it takes you a long time to even share the painting that you've painted, getting around to it.
I was thinking about it yesterday, and I think I'm 7 murals behind in this
Seriously?
year alone. Just this year. Like, I don't know what it is.
7.
I think it's like it almost becomes like a stubbornness now. It's like, oh no, I'm not going to post it. I mean, like if I don't post it immediately, like, am I ever going to post it? I don't know. And you know,
Is it like
the
a cut-off?
hype goes after the first couple of weeks after you paint something, and if you don't capitalize on that, I don't know. There's a lot of murals that I'm not huge on, so I don't really post them. And then looking back, I'm thinking, oh, I should have posted it. It was nice, because there's a lot of times that I'll be speaking to people about my work, and they don't know what I'm talking about because I haven't put it online at all, so
Sure.
they haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But
do you think that the works, is that, do you figure that as a job? Because social media and keeping up with your social media is somewhat of a job.
Yeah.
See, when you've come off your cherry picker, the job is done.
Yeah.
And I think obviously you've got such a name in the street art world that, in a way, do you know that people are going to share it anyway? So,
Yeah.
do you need to do it yourself? Maybe not.
No, you really do. Like, you shouldn't just depend on like blog accounts and things like this, because they're not sharing it to your audience; they're sharing it to their audience. But I don't know. I'm not very good with the business side of things. I just like to paint pictures, and I consider social media to be the business side of things. And a lot of people see it that way, and they do amazingly. Like, if I had a social media manager, oh man, I'd get so much more opportunity.
Do other names in the world have that?
Yeah, of course
they have marketing
do.
teams.
Yeah, of course they do. Or it might just be their manager that does it, or their assistant, or something. But you can see who has help, and you see that they're super successful. So maybe that's something I should look into, because if I don't do it myself, I should find someone else to do it for me.
Who in that world, I take it you would have to be managed from someone remotely in London or overseas, New York or something. I don't think there's anyone in Glasgow that deals with street art management or PR. Is there?
I don't have a clue.
No.
I don't have management. I think a lot of people just find someone that's close to them to become their manager, just to manage their accounts and their emails and their social media. I
That's
don't
what
think
your
it
wife is for,
necessarily.
surely.
Yeah, I know. I don't think it necessarily needs to be someone with links to the culture. I don't really know if there's many people like that. I mean, there definitely would be within the sort of gallery scene, and some of the mural circuits would have people involved in that, but I don't really know. I'd like to know, because I'd be interested. I've had some people pitch their services to me before, but it just hasn't really felt necessary. Exactly. Yeah.
So, because you're kind of doing everything off your own back. I mean, the Glasgow mural trail. I take it you've got to a position now, or maybe for the start, that you were just dealing directly with the people there that were kind of funding these things.
I was always just direct with them.
Yeah, and then
I was there since before the mural trail.
Yeah, of course.
Fund was installed
Before 2014, because I believe the Commonwealth Games kicked that into touch. The Commonwealth Games in 2014.
Well, the mural fund was well after the Commonwealth Games stuff.
Well after?
Well, hang on. The Commonwealth Games were in 2014?
Yes.
Okay, so I was doing work with the same part of the council that do the mural fund since a couple of years before we won the bid for the Commonwealth Games. So I don't know when that was. Wow. 2005, 6 maybe. And it's been the same division of the council that I've worked with the whole time, and now they take on the mural fund.
Right. And editorially, did you, after you've started building this relationship with them, they pretty much know what they're getting from you, and there's no kind of editorial influence on their side as to what you paint?
It's taken a decade to get there.
It's taken a long time, yeah. Things like when you were doing Under the Motorway at the Quay, it was sports-related stuff, and not even including the big swimmers, obviously. These ones were more kind of...
The big swimmers had the most influence from them,
really?
out of all of them.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like in case people haven't seen it, there's a large mural that I did. I don't know, it's about 40 meters long, 7 or 8 meters tall, and it's 2 large swimmers on either side, and in the middle there's a diver, which makes no sense. Like, I originally had the 2 swimmers sort of coming towards each other with a big collision of water making a big effect, and the person that was running that part of the council at that time said, "Oh no, but we want that diver that you've previously painted before because it looks so good." And I said, "But it doesn't make sense. You know, these are huge characters, but then in the foreground you want this diver.
Sure.
It's like a fraction of their size. It makes no sense." And but they said, "Oh, this is what we want." Back then it was a job. You know, it wasn't me pushing my name Smug. I was using my real name, and but now it has gotten to the point that I just give them a verbal explanation of what it is I want. I don't necessarily need to show them a picture. I have still been showing them pictures, but I don't think I need to. No. As long as I give them a really good description.
Yeah. Are they looking for some sort of backstory to some of them as well? Because I know that the 2 newest and biggest paintings you've done in the high street direction, people liked to, whether it was like this to begin with or not, liked to kind of infer their own meaning behind a lot of them. And I think it's pretty cool that people do that though.
Yeah, it's great.
One being St Mungo as a baby and the other being St Mungo as an adult. So I heard some people saying, would the council have they looked for you to kind of provide some sort of narrative to these things?
No, not at all.
The one with the baby and the child though is like pretty close to where the old Rotten Row maternity hospital was. So
it sort of looks onto
that
it.
Link, that's certainly.
But listen, that's just a coincidence. Like I had no
it's
idea.
Amazing coincidence.
It wasn't until after I'd finished.
Sure.
And same with the one of St Mungo as an adult.
Yeah.
Man, I just wanted to paint a friend with some robins.
Sure,
I was going to do 3 robins. I painted 2 and then I decided not to do a third.
Right.
But even then, there's 2 robins on that wall, not just one. And St Mungo is about 1 robin, not about 2 robins.
Right.
So already the mural contradicts the story. But they think that it's a modern representation of St Mungo.
Idea of the
but
Robins
because it's within 50 yards of his birthplace and his home and everything like this, and the robin's one of the 4 symbols of the patron saint St Mungo and everything else. But everything's just coincidence. It's just funny that it worked out like that. But people, for the mother and child, people assumed halfway through, oh, this is baby St Mungo. And that's why I put the little robin on her wrist, just to give it to her.
So you were kind of like, not painting on the fly, but you were kind of creating a narrative on the fly.
Yeah.
Because you would have got to that stage and thought, I could add a robin in here, and it's going to.
I knew people were going to jump to that conclusion anyway. Yeah.
It's definitely like, because of where it is, because it's near to the cathedral and stuff. It's definitely like the most photographed of your work, possibly ever. I mean, I don't know. I mean. It's the
one of St Mungo?
It's got such footfall near it, and it's it's so close to a touristy place in Glasgow. It must be one of your most photographed murals. Definitely Glasgow for sure.
Yeah, it still is my most photographed.
Yeah.
I think it was just proven that it was the most photographed mural in like northern UK or something.
I can totally believe that. I can totally believe that.
Yeah.
The mural trail, I always found it a bit cryptic to kind of understand it, because I've not involved in any way, but I wondered how it sat with that artist when it came to like editorial with someone like members of the council who aren't off the bat people you would think as being creatively minded, but maybe people that are in that position to give the funding are people with backgrounds for the arts.
No, I don't think they are.
No.
But I mean, the main guy behind it isn't like he's a creative guy, but. I don't think that they're necessarily trying to curate the city. They just want to have a level of control that they can control the quality of what goes up. Like I'm sure that they must get submissions every week, and but most of it might be people that have never painted a large mural before. And there's only so many walls in Glasgow city centre, so there's only a few left really. Which is why I limit how many I paint here. I could paint in Glasgow four times a year, 4 of these big walls a year, but within a few years there's no big walls left. Like the funding pot is just for the city centre. It's not for anything else. And so I think they're just trying to limit it and stagger it. I think they'd probably like to get me in more frequently than I am.
Because did I count like 7 paintings?
I don't know.
Some of them I think some of them
of
have
mine
gone.
or of all of them.
Because they include I believe that the mural trail definitely included the building that's if you go past Central towards the West End, you had the angled
next to Safe
and
Hands,
it was all the not that one. It was the one where like, do you remember where Victor Morris, that old shop was?
Yeah.
It's like towards the business district. And it's the corner by the Mona Lisa and things like that. It was like this kind of collage style that you painted. Is it still there?
I think Rogue's one on the opposite corner is gone.
Because I feel as if some of them were coming and going now and again.
Yeah, I mean,
fading
some
with
of
age
them
also,
go. I did a bunch under Central Station train station. There was five pillars. I had 5 portraits on it. They're gone.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a cafe scene on Argyle Street.
That's
gone now. It's still technically there. There's just a whole bunch of construction in front of it.
Yeah.
Other people have had their murals torn down and stuff.
What do you think about that? As you say, it's going to run out of walls. So, like, in the future, would that have to be a bit more flexible? Because, like, just recently, James Klinger's Tiger has been vandalised, probably to a point where it's not. I mean, I don't know. He could probably fix it, but
probably.
does that get to a point where you just need to start again?
Yeah, I think that mural. How many years was that up for? 6 years or something?
I feel like 5,
I
6.
think it had enough damage on that wall anyway with time that you would just redo it.
Yeah, we did it. And some of the Billy Connelly ones, especially the one that's actually a paste up, that won't last the test of time.
They should come down anyway.
Yeah.
I despise those.
Probably should.
I think they are the worst thing for our culture, for the Glasgow Mural Fund. I think it's terrible that they even existed.
Yeah.
You can take that and stick it BBC. I despise that.
I'm with you 99%. I think maybe one might have been fine, but rolling out 4 I don't think is appropriate. 4 or 5 of them.
There was 3.
3?
Yeah, but
Okay,
still,
sorry.
it was 3 large-scale
Too many.
murals that are up there on a permanent basis
Yeah.
in Glasgow city centre that they used our pot of money for the Mural Fund, which is there to support local artists, to create a TV show for the BBC where they didn't put their hands in their pockets at all. I'm not about that. I could complain about this for all day, for the full hour-long
Yeah.
little interview, but
no, I'm with you.
yeah, I welcome those murals to be destroyed.
The
I mean, no offense to the guy that painted them. I won't name your name in case you don't really want to be associated with it.
But that brings me on to another point. The one thing I found strange is that it was the idea that these artworks were created not with the scale and surface in mind. They were created by Jack Vitriano, Rachel McLean, and the third one. That John Byrne, this size,
tiny.
And then the artist was tasked with going up and putting them. They weren't created with scale in mind, so they don't come off, and it was impossible.
The whole concept was wrong from the start. They had 3 different fine artists that were painting 3 different portraits of Billy Connelly for his 70th birthday, and then they're like, oh, we can do something with murals because Glasgow is known for its murals. And they originally approached me, and I was excited. I thought, this is a good idea. We can get 3 different artists here in Glasgow to paint 3 different murals of Billy Connelly. Like I specialise in grizzly dudes with long hair and beards, so I'm like, man, this is great. I can give him his purple goatee or whatever he wants. I could do a really nice portrait. And like, oh, no. We don't want you to paint your own work. We want you to paint another artist's work. And I was like, well, just get them to bloody paint the mural. I was like, well, we can't because they're old. I said, well, so then you don't get a mural of their work. If they can't paint a mural of their work, you just don't get it done.
That's where the TV narrative comes in, because they had to get the artists that had a name as fine artists or contemporary artists in their own right. And then the muralist was just an afterthought.
It was just a Xerox machine.
Yeah.
Which I think is shocking, because they could have made the program so much more than it was. They could have brought it to a whole other subculture as well. It isn't just the fine artists that are celebrating Billy Connelly, it's the graffiti artists, and no one would normally expect this, whatever angle that they could have taken with it. It could have been so much better. And you'd get 3 good murals and everybody would have loved them. 3 complete different styles. There's 3 obvious choices of artists to have paint those murals here. And they just wouldn't entertain that, obviously.
The artist as a Xerox machine, one of the murals literally was made using a Xerox machine.
Yeah. Well, it isn't even a mural.
Printed and pasted, basically.
Yeah, people just assume it's a mural, but it's just a giant poster stuck on a wall.
So they 3 murals should definitely get rotated out to something else.
I think they should.
I think when Billy Connelly passes away, though, there's going to be obviously politics around that.
But that's another reason why. I mean, a man supposedly on his way out is in his final years. Supposedly, we keep hearing about this, and then you get his mural painted. That's a difficult position, because then you can never touch that again. And I'm not really big on RIP murals. No. Like memorial art, I'm not really huge on it, especially with murals, because then it can never be touched.
Yeah.
But I think some murals should definitely change. I think a lot of my old commercial stuff that I did 10 plus years ago, I think they should be revamped. Just because it's me that painted, definitely doesn't mean that it should stay. I think all of the Commonwealth Games murals should go.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, because it isn't relevant now.
Yes. If you're going to have to stop or at least cut down on the amount of aerosol you
Yeah,
use.
for sure. And I'm already on huge murals, like the huge 14-story one that I painted you on.
Yes.
I did, I don't know, 60% of that with house paint,
Really?
with like a spray gun. So essentially, it's still spray paint. I'm still spraying it. It's the same techniques. So you still have to wear a mask.
Yes.
Actually, and there was a couple of days of that where I didn't wear a mask when I was doing that, and I felt it even worse than with spray paint. I suppose it's larger particles.
Larger particles.
And, you know, I don't think it's as toxic.
Toxic and water-based.
But holy crap, man. All it takes is for some foreign particle to get lodged in your body, and that's essentially cancer or something.
Or some shit,
like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think working with brushes or something where, I mean, it's like at the start of last year, I started doing studio work. At the start of the year before, for a show that I had last year. No, it was last year. I'm so confused. And and I did, like, I'd spray paint the base of the canvases, and then I would, I'd do that within 3 hours. And then I'd spend a week with just acrylics on top. And it was so nice to not wear a mask and to not be dirty. And it was like an eye-opening thing. So if I could do murals like that, it'd be amazing. But I just haven't taken the plunge yet. I know it would take me twice as long. I know it wouldn't be as smooth and realistic.
Exactly. It would change the overall feel of that kind of plastic coated feeling that you have.
I'd need to shrink. I reckon I could still get that shiny effect.
Yeah.
I do think I could. But things wouldn't look as polished. It's strange. Like, I just did a mural with Telmo and Meal. And no offense, guys. I love your work. But their work up close, because they just used the rollers and brushes, it wasn't as polished. And I'm sure that when they use spray paint, it's super polished. And from the ground, it looks fantastic. And that's the way a lot of these large mural artists are. They paint with rollers and brushes, and up close, it's scrappy, man. It's messy. And I think Telmo and Meal are the cleaner of the bunch. But some of these artists, man, my favorite artists, and up close, it is messy. And I don't know if I could ever do that. I'm such a perfectionist.
Is that what it is?
It's got to look good up close for me as well as away. And I think it works to a fault with me sometimes. I'll spend so long getting these details in, and you stand, 7 stories down, 50 meters away so you can see the wall, and you can't see any of that stuff.
No.
But I know it's there. But I don't know. It's strange.
And I think, like, you said the length of time it would take you if you didn't use spray paint, but, like, physically, would you not be exhausted? Like, are these guys not exhausted fucking rolling and brushing with big fat fucking brushes that they've made themselves?
They must be, yeah.
Things like that.
Those big triple brushes that they tape together.
Of course, big
with a piece of
custom-made
wood.
boys.
Yeah. It must be hard work. I mean, I try my hardest to avoid rolling a wall first. I try and get other people to do it. Because I've pulled the diva code because I hate it so much. But when I have to do it, my arms are cramping up.
But in comparison to a lot of some people that are in the scene, at least you paint your fucking wall, because there's some people that we've heard of in various places that have quite a hands-off approach even to their mural art.
What do you mean?
Maybe like artists in the States that are the upper echelons of street art.
They just get their assistants.
Yeah. Basically.
And then they might turn up and say, yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
They might not even come to the same country. Their name goes on it.
I've seen people whose... I'm like, I didn't realise that was what Beep looks like. And then someone else is like, oh, that's not him. That's just the guy. I'm like...
Yeah. That's a woman.
The fuck is that?
Yeah,
I never knew.
But that's just business, man.
Business?
Like... If I could do it, I'd definitely do it. Like there's times in summer and like, for instance, my September was really quite busy, and it was supposed to be a lot busier than it was. But even then, I still turned away 10 different events for September. September's always busy. Everyone decides to do things then. Oh, it's crazy. Do it in October or August or something. But if I could have assistants doing my stuff, dude.
Is that the answer maybe in the long run when you're 50?
No. Because I'm too much of a perfectionist. I can't even have someone be my assistant on a wall, let alone do my work for me. Like, I'm just...
But what if you just decide one day that can change?
Yeah, well, maybe. And if that's the case, then I'll start making money for once. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But even if I got Belin, who is probably the best photorealism mural artist, which is debatable. But I think he technically has better skill than anybody else, and even if I got him to paint the arm of one of my characters, it wouldn't be the way that I would paint it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even if we had the same picture to copy and we both paint it, they'd look completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And even the best guy in the world, I'd be like, nah, you can't. Nah, it's a Billion wall now. It's not a smug wall anymore.
Fair
you know?
enough. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a stickler with that.
And
To my detriment.
would where do the galleries fit into this whole
How do you mean?
timeline? Like, well, because again, there's going to come a point where you physically can't go up against that 14-story building.
Yeah.
Is that when you then focus on the more studio-based
Well,
stuff?
I'm already wanting to do more studio-based work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a studio now.
Yes.
I mean, for years I didn't have a studio.
Yeah. And
But,
it's a nice one.
Yeah, it goes back a bit too.
You didn't have
But
one?
it's, yeah, and I didn't, I mean, it's only just been the last 12 months or so that I've started painting with acrylics. And it was just spray paint before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was almost knocked in. And it was just spray paint. And you can't achieve with spray paint on a canvas what you can achieve on a wall.
Sure.
Like, you know, that's as thick of a line as you can really paint. You can get it skinnier, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But on a canvas, I can't do a portrait this big. It takes 3 stories for me
Sure,
to do a
sure.
portrait to the level that I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't enjoy it. But now that things are more achievable, I definitely want to do more studio work. But you wait. Come this winter when I'm saying, yeah, I'll just sit in the studio, I bet you I'll get a whole bunch of travelling jobs.
Or you'll get
something.
like an itch or something, you'll need to
Yeah.
go back and do it.
Yeah,
So how
something.
do you use a bit of due diligence? Because you mentioned it, you get so many offers to come and do this and come and do that. And like, how do you, if it was me in the kind of lowly position I am in this world, I would just be like, I'm painting in some fucking housing estate in Liverpool, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But you must get so many offers now that like, and again, you're doing it all yourself. There's no manager or agent that's doing any due diligence. Have you ever had an experience where you're just like, you get someone, you're like, I should not have come here?
Yeah.
Scare stories in that sense?
Quite a few times. I mean, there's times, and I'd get to the location for them to pick me up from the airport and drive me to an office or something and say, okay, so this project that we've flown you in for, you can't do it anymore. You have to do a job for us instead. And, you know, then spend 3-4 days haggling with them when I should have just jumped on a plane and left.
Fuck.
You know, there's been issues. There's been sometimes when you turn up and the wall is in such bad disrepair that no one mentions at first. And you're like, yeah, I could paint it, but in 2 years that mural's going to be ruined, or the access could be big issues and things like that. But I've never walked away from one yet. There's been times when I've been pretty close,
Yeah.
but I haven't actually walked away yet.
I can imagine someone at your level, there's probably a lot of shady people out there that could see you as potentially making a quick buck for them.
Yeah.
And they might, whether that's a large scale piece of public art or whether it's a commercial mural.
Yeah, I don't think I've fallen victim to that really.
No.
But I know other people have. And I think I've just been lucky. I think I'm a little bit picky about the work that I do, and I do a bit of background work.
Yeah.
You know, like if ever anyone says, hey, can you paint this wall? I Google Street View it and I walk
Fucking
on
yeah.
Street View for like half a mile in every direction. Like I do a bit of homework. I always ask people from the same city, you know, because when you're part of this travelling scene, you end up meeting people from most countries and most major cities. And I'll reach out to them and do some digging and stuff with everybody, you
Good.
know.
Yep.
So I think I've been lucky.
Because creative working as a creative is like can be famine or feast for some people that are kind of lower than you, that aren't internationally recognised.
Yeah.
A lot of people can get fucking turned over for what they do. So I think that like anytime I speak to a creative person in all levels, I'm always kind of trying to figure out how they navigate their way around the world, because you're a self-employed businessman, and the product that you create is your art.
Yeah, but it's people don't always see it that way.
Exactly.
Like for instance, there was a sneaker that was just released this week, and they reached out to me originally to send me a pair of the shoes, which is fantastic. It'd be great. I'd give them a social media post or something about it. Maybe not a full post, but a story or something. But then it turned out they wanted original artwork created plus social media posts and all these things. And it's like, man, that's a £100 pair of shoes, you know? A social media post alone has a monetary value of 10 times that, you know? And that they'd already sent shoes out to a lot of people, you know, because I did my homework and I dug more. I didn't get to the point that I already had those shoes, because then I'd feel like I need to give them something, which all these other artists already did.
Okay.
But there's also this epidemic right now of people not getting paid for their work, you know, and there's so many mural festivals, they don't pay their artists. And I understand it. It's like a graffiti jam thing, that you can travel to somewhere and paint a wall and not necessarily get paid, but have all your expenses paid for.
But do you mean to begin with, or getting fucked over? Do you mean that they were never getting paid to begin with, or they were on the plane and the guy was like, "Bye, I'll send you your payment next week"?
They'll never get paid.
They were never getting paid anyway. Okay.
And which I think is it's a curse on our culture, because, you know, like, for instance, I don't know. I can't really think of what I'm trying to say here, but there's so many. There's such an oversaturation of artists now, of mural artists, because it's now such a popular thing to paint murals, and there's so much more opportunity to paint murals now that every artist, well, not every artist, but so many different artists from so many different genres of art are now creating murals of these artworks, and so there's this huge oversaturation of people within our market, and which is bringing the prices down to the point that people don't even get paid for their art now, which is crazy. Like, there was an artist recently that put his first social media post up in 2 years or something, saying the reason why I haven't posted anything is because I haven't done anything, because I refuse to paint for free. And no one should paint for free unless they're just having fun doing their own thing. But, you know, people are making coin on these things somewhere down the line, you know, and it's a gripe.
If you zoom
just
out,
now, I think it's really current, you know, like it's an issue right now.
If you zoom out into the broader society, that sounds exactly like some sort of unpaid internship. It's like,
exactly.
Do you want to come and work for this brand new amazing tech company? It's all these opportunities we're going to give you to show your skills in this world, but we'll pay for your lunch and your train ticket in, but we're not actually paying you for the work you're doing. And I think maybe that's
just an art thing. Like, I think there's probably a few other subcultures that fall victim to this, but it's like, I think art just gets devalued. You know, like for this sneaker that was released, I bet you the people working with that major company, I'm not naming names or anything, I bet you they wouldn't do any work for free.
No.
Or for, like, do 2 days worth of work just for a pair of sneakers. Of course they're not, but they think an artist would, because we're all struggling. And, you know, some of us are struggling, some of us are comfortable, but it doesn't mean that someone's, I don't know, I don't really know what I'm trying to say.
Is there something like Darwinian in that then, that the sense that, like, if you're smart enough to take the maybe not the high road in the sense of morals, but like if you're smart enough to say, nah, fuck that, the trainer's worth £100, you're wanting like £1,000's worth of work, is there not something Darwinian about that then? Like, you'll continue to survive and get the good work, whereas the artists that are at the bottom are just going to eventually go away? Because without sounding too like brutal, there's probably a good amount of artists in this world that should just go back to working like a 9-to-5 job.
Maybe.
And kind of thin the market down a little bit, because there's a bit of oversaturation.
But I still feel bad for that person, because that
of course,
they're still being taken advantage of, you know.
But I'm with you 100% on that. But also, I think like they were probably never going to make a lot of money anyway if they continued on being an artist. It's probably better for their mental health and their well-being in the world if they just got a normal fucking job. People like us maybe are incapable of that nowadays, because I've been self-employed for so long.
I could never have a normal job again.
Couldn't do it,
I couldn't. Like, no, I don't think
it's funny,
I could have a boss again.
Nah.
You know, like, I don't know, when you're self-employed for so long, your ego just blows up, and I don't think I could have someone tell me what to do. No. I mean, I could. I get it every night that I go home. But I don't... but I don't... I couldn't have someone say, hey, Sam, make me a cup of tea. Be like, what?
Yeah.
Make yourself a cup of tea, you know? But, you know,
I remember you've said before in a few places that like you don't like photographers. I remember I met this photographer years ago, before I'd ever met you. This was a long time ago, and I was on a job and he was working for a marketing company, and he was like, "Oh, you like street art and graffiti and stuff?" He's like, "Do you know this guy Smug?" And I was like, "Yeah, does the big paintings and stuff." Yeah, yeah. And they were like, "Yeah, I was trying to get him involved with this like thing I was filming, and I don't know what the fuck it was you were actually doing. You were painting something, commercial job, and he was trying to get you to hold a pane of glass, and then you would spray on the glass or something like that, and like you were just like downright refused to do it, and it totally like the guy was like, I couldn't get the shot because like he wasn't playing ball, and at the time I was like, that guy, even then years and years ago, I was like, that guy doesn't need to play ball, like. And that's the perfect position to be in.
You don't need to think of me as this much higher than
everybody
else.
Right, but I just mean that like...
But I hate that cheesy shit, man. I hate that cheesy shit. I hate that shot. Like every street art photographer wants to get a shot of behind you looking over your shoulder so they don't get your face. So it's graffiti. They get your mural and they get a picture of you holding your picture.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
They all want that.
I mean, there is worse shots than that,
cheesy
though.
shot that they all want to get. So when I see them trying to get it, I pack up and I move away. Like, it's like a showdown. Even, like, there's people that I'm friends with that are photographers.
Yeah.
And when they're filming me, man, it's like a showdown.
Yeah.
Like, like, as soon as I see them and they're getting up a little bit too close, I just stop. And they'll stand there and wait for me to start again. I just stay. Yeah. I just freeze. I just wait for them to walk away. You know, and it might last for 5 minutes. And then eventually they'll pack up and walk away. Okay, there we go. I don't know, it's something that I'll never get comfortable with.
Oh, by the way, especially if you don't know the person. Because, let's be honest, it's cool if, like, someone's coming down, like, I'm from the Daily Paper or whatever, and you're like, oh, cool. Like,
no, that ain't cool. I don't like these people.
I mean, to a certain extent, don't mind me, take a picture of me working if you want. But there's been times... One time, especially in Belfast, me and Colin were there, and there was this weird guy came up, and we just assumed he was from a newspaper just because the way he presented himself in his camera. But like, he was trying to get us to pose and shit, and I just get this vibe. I was like, this guy's just a weird, creepy guy with a big fucking camera. And I was just like, to Colin, like, Colin, come back to painting, like, don't talk to the man. But that's fucking creepy as shit. People just walking around and getting you to...
Yeah, it's
weird. A camera has a license to get you to fucking do things that you don't want to do.
It's strange, right? Like some people vibe off that, and they're like, "Oh, there's a camera. Let's start work."
Sure.
But then also, if you're walking around with a camera, and someone's, I don't know, giving someone a parking ticket, and you just start filming them and taking photos of that parking inspector, that person's going to get their back up. They'll be like, "What are you doing?"
Sure.
I'm just working here. You know, like if you walk in to a restaurant and you stand up from the table and you go over to the hole that separates the restaurant and like the kitchen and you just start filming and they'll be like, what the hell are you doing?
They throw a pan at
but
you.
It's weird with this public art thing. They think that it's perfectly acceptable and you know, like I don't mind if someone's behind me taking a photo or something. I mean I get it, but when they get up in your face and think that you're there for like for them.
But is there not a certain like performative aspect to painting and if like for instance yard works is probably different from festivals that I've experienced in the sense that it's like a live art festival. Everyone's there at one time in one place. It's not you're not off in some neighbourhood of a city somewhere painting away Monday to Friday and then you go home. There's a performative aspect to it, so and then maybe that kind of butts head on with graffiti, because the idea that graffiti artists are anonymous is always a big thing, and I know that guys in Glasgow some like to cover their faces and
which
others
is
are quite
what
happy
I
just
used to do as well. You know?
Others are quite happy just to be seen. Then that feeds back into the fucking social media thing, because it's like.
But listen, I'm not a performing artist. I'm just a kid that always liked to draw and never found the medium that he liked. Ended up finding spray paint through doing graffiti, and really liked spray paint as a medium to creating the art that I enjoy creating, which back then was graffiti, and it moved into doing characters and stuff. I just did a big graffiti piece last week.
Yes.
So it's not like it's something that I don't do anymore, but I'm not a model. I'm not an actor that's out there putting a show on for people. It's just that the medium that I use is easier to paint large.
Yes.
You know, so we need these large public spaces to create our artwork.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I'm a public performer or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess I have to be a little bit, but I don't know what I'm saying.
People project ideas of who you are onto who they think you are because you're like a graffiti artist.
Yeah.
They probably think you're like a guy who loves hip hop and skateboarding, which
Yeah.
you actually are.
Well, I haven't skated for a long time, but I never really could in the first place. But
was there any like early signs when you were a kid that you were like you could work in scale, or because I think that
nothing with scale.
no, but
No
photorealism.
little kid starts doing big. No, I never did realism.
No,
I mean, in high school, in art, I remember they were teaching us cross hatching, and you had to do a pyramid and a sphere and stuff. And I was probably one of the better guys in the class, but I was never super amazing. I was always artistic. Like I can remember in primary school, we'd spend 3 days drawing a picture each, and I remember all the kids would be hanging over my shoulder watching me do my thing.
okay.
But I was never like a prodigy or anything. I was just kind of good at drawing cartoons.
Because maybe it's like a cop out on my behalf, but I think that like if someone's really good at photorealism, I think that's probably like in you or it's not. I mean, you can certainly improve on your skills, and you have, and many other photorealistic artists have improved on their skills. But I think that there's probably you either have it in between your brain and your eyes, or you don't. I think.
Yeah, maybe. I think it takes a lot of dedication. Like when I started doing realism, I progressed to realism because I like the struggle of manipulating the spray can to do things that it shouldn't normally do, and so that geeky aspect of using spray paint really appealed to me. But then when I started doing realism, I was looking at everything in that way. You know, at the same time I was doing 3D graffiti styles as well, like a 3D animation style thing, and so I started to think about where light's coming from and where shadow falls. And then when I started painting portraits, like looking at you, and I'm not just looking at you, I'm looking at the way your eyelid falls on that eyelid, and how, you know, the light hits that side of your face and the texture that it has and stuff. And it's kind of hard. Like there's times that I lose. I've probably been doing it to you this whole time, where I lose eye contact with people because I'm worried that they think I'm just analysing them. Because I am. Yes. I mean, I am.
Sure.
Like, I don't look at someone's eyes. I look at the area around their eyes. It's kind of like I don't turn off. And so I guess, like, when you start doing realism, you do get immersed in it. You do just start doing it full time, you know? And without that, I don't think... Like, I think you can pick the realism artists that aren't like that. And they literally just copy a picture. Because
that's what I was going to say. I think at some stage in your life you could probably just paint something just from your fucking head.
See, I've never
tried that.
I've never done a portrait without using any reference.
No.
And I guess it's the ultimate goal, but I've never. I guess I'm a bit of a wimp, you know,
because,
and I'm scared to just take that leap and try it.
I'd seen you before maybe using a sheet that had been printed out and then just using like a phone. Yeah, so it seems to get an ever-decreasing size.
Dude, it's a phone just because I travel. So when you travel, you don't have access to a printer. And if it's raining, to a laminator or something. Sure. Not that I've ever done that, but it's a smart thing to do. Sure. But with a phone, you can take your reference with your phone and it's on your phone. Yeah. You know, like you don't even need to filter it through a laptop or something and tweak it. It's just there. Yeah. You know. Yeah. What was the question?
I don't think there was a question around that. But if coming from like a young age, was there art like in your family? Because like you must have been given the tools quite at a young age, the tools to create work.
I think every kid's given crayons to draw.
But what did your mum and dad do as a job, for instance, or were they into art when you were younger?
My mother was a receptionist. Yeah. My father was a banker when I was a little kid. And then a hippie when I was a child.
Do you have like an auntie, a mad auntie who was into doing?
My grandfather was into drawings of kind of like draftsman style drawings.
Cool, yeah.
He'd do landscapes in that draftsman sort of style. Yeah. But it wasn't like a career thing or anything. It was a headmaster.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of creativity in my family. I think everyone's creative in their own right, but there was no... Same as there was no like bright ginger people in my family. So I guess I got the bum end of both
Maybe
sticks.
there's something that's trickled down from somewhere that you never can identify.
Well, maybe the art gene is like the ginger gene, you know,
Maybe
it pops up every 10 generations or something.
It very possibly could be. But you came over to Scotland from Australia, what, in 2000, the mid-noughties, yeah, 2003?
2003.
With the intention of being an artist? Or you were just like a hippie at that point? Or
No, I was just a graffiti artist.
Graffiti
I was just travelling. Like every Aussie did back then. They put a backpack on their back and met up with other Australians and Kiwis and Antipodeans and did the Europe thing.
Yes.
And I just settled in Scotland. I met my partner here. She's from here. And we just settled here. But I was just a graffiti artist. I hadn't really even... I don't think I'd done realism at all at that point. I was just painting my pieces. And I never thought of it as a career move. Never.
It's insane to think, like, and that, please don't take this as like some kind of ego rub but like, it would be funny if you just decided not to come to Glasgow. Like, I wonder what the fucking mural scene in Glasgow would look like if Smug wasn't a part of it. It would be... these questions like that are useless.
Maybe I damaged the scene here. Like, I know when I came in here, there was a graffiti vibe to this city, and I liked it because I'm from a small town where there was three of us. There's only three of us painting, and you know we had our own little crew and we built a little name for ourselves to the point that we got permission for walls and things like this. We started to get hardware stores to bring in other paints and stuff. But there was only three of us, and then to come here where there was an established scene that was like 2 decades old, like a decade or two old. It was good, but then I found that the scene here has slowly fizzled away a little bit. You know, I guess the people from that generation got older and stopped painting, you know, those that didn't take it as like a career move. And I think the young crowd hasn't been that strong here. I don't think there's been, not stylistically or anything, I just think there hasn't been as many up-and-comers starting to paint. Yeah. And maybe there's more now because we've got Yardworks Festival and things like that to inspire them. So maybe within the next generation, within the next 5-10 years, we'll see a lot more artists pop up. But I feel like the last 10 years since I've started painting here, there's been less and less artists.
You're right, because it's correct, because like when I was a kid growing up in Glasgow, there was many legal walls. If they weren't legal, no one gave a fuck about them, and it was a place, chill walls, where you could just go and paint what you wanted.
And those chill walls, they exist here, but they're not getting painted regularly.
Well, that's true.
They're still there, and you can still access them. Like a lot of these halls of fames, they're still there. Nothing's
Price
changed.
of paint, maybe, is that an implication for someone who's young? When we were kids, we would
the price of paint hasn't gone up.
No.
I remember when I first started painting in Australia. We used to steal a lot of paint, but the paint that we would have to purchase would be the German paint, the imported paint. And I remember when I was a kid, a can of Belton was $13.50.
Right.
This is a German paint company. So,
but $13, what we're talking?
$13 with the exchange rate of back then would have been, I don't know, £5.
That's about the same.
£5 to £6.
Yeah.
Maybe £6 for a can of paint.
Yep.
And it's cheaper now.
Yeah.
It's cheaper now.
Or there's not a difference, so it's cheaper.
Yeah. Or even when German Montana first released in Australia, you're looking at $10 to $12 a can, and now they're like $8 a can, and it's a super competitive market. I don't think the price of paint's really gone up that much. No. Not with normal inflation of other goods. No way. Because what is it for a can now? £4. If it's more than £4, I won't buy it.
Well, go to Casa, it's like fucking £8 or something.
No, because Casa will do a price match. I only just found this out. I only just found this out like 2 days ago. Right. That if you can find online any deal that's better, they'll match it.
That beeped again.
Camera beeped. What does that mean?
Let me check that.
I don't know. But when I started painting, I got the bug straight away, and I just got addicted to it straight away. And you know, this was before I was even doing colour things. I was just with a marker, just making mops and things like this and just tagging. But I got that bug, so I didn't really... And all of us, our whole little crew, we were just obsessed with it. So I don't know the first step, because I suppose that's different for everybody. For us, it was being street hooligans and like stealing shit and fucking shit up.
Aye. What I was going to ask is about when you came over from Australia and there was already a scene in Glasgow. It might have been kind of going downhill or slowing down a wee bit when you got here, but like, did you find it easy to find a place within the scene? Or I guess it's like anything else, some people are a wee bit standoffish. Who's this outsider? Or...
Have I got a place within the scene now? I don't know. But I found I ruffled a few feathers when I came.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that I was getting some opportunities when it should have been more homegrown talent that was getting that.
Yep. No, it continues. Yep.
But I don't know. I'm friends with most of the people here now. I think things are okay, but I don't think that I fell in to a cemented position within the scene here straight away. And I think even now people don't necessarily consider me a Glasgow artist, even though I've lived here for almost half of my life. But
do folk like wonder when you travel the world and they might not expect, I mean, especially because your accent particularly, they just might not expect, do people turn around and go like, you live in Glasgow? Like, well, what? I don't even realise they had street art there.
Well, most people in Europe are shocked to hear that I live in Scotland.
Right.
Because I'm only billed as an Australian artist when I'm in Europe.
Yeah.
And when I'm in America and Australia, they bill me as a Scottish artist. So they freak out when I turn up. I'm like, oh, hello, mate. How are you? You know, it's ochre,
well, then did you just do
accent.
it like? Did you do it your own? Did you parodied your own actual accent there?
Oh no, that's just the way I talk when I don't have a microphone next to me. G'day, I'm super smart guy. But yeah, I mean, no, people know about Glasgow now because of these. I mean, because of that mural that I did would be one of the reasons, and a whole bunch of other reasons. Other artists that are painting here, yard works even. People know about Glasgow. It's on the street art map now, you know. So they like, or maybe they'll know of murals that are here. I'm like, oh, is that in Glasgow? I knew it was the UK. I just didn't know where it was.
Cool.
Glasgow. Somewhere like that. Glasgow.
I think you're right, and it's like this stage of my life, I've never been more prouder to be based here. I'm so, I guess, fortunate that I fucking, whatever landed me, whatever stars aligned, and I get landed here, because there's probably much worse places to try and be creative in the world. I think Glasgow, the size of Glasgow scene's nice. If you want to compare it to London, it's probably like a lot less cutthroat, and you don't need to worry too much here about stepping on other people's toes.
You know what?
In politics,
it's funny though,
down south, I don't know.
Because, excuse me, every time that I travel and people say, "Oh, you live in Glasgow?" Ooh, Glasgow, eh? And it's like, what are you talking about?
Still got that rep.
It's a tough place, Glasgow. And this isn't like 50 years and older people. This is like young people as well. Like, oh, Glasgow's rough, man. Glasgow's tough. And I'm like, man, I have worked in the shittest areas of Greater Glasgow, and I've never had an issue. Maybe it's because I'm Australian, so I'm kind of like Switzerland. As soon as I start talking, the accent might throw these people off. Yeah. But I've never found Glasgow to be threatening. Never. You know, if I'm walking through Ibrox with a green shirt on, I don't feel like I'm about to be beaten up. Sure. And maybe I am about to be beaten up, but I don't necessarily feel that threat at all. I think Glasgow is a super positive place. Compared to like England and these places, for sure. Yeah. I think within the scene, not just in normal sort of day-to-day stuff, I think Glasgow's happy. It's good. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And like, I guess things like Yardworks, fucking long may that continue. You've just finished a big fucking massive graffiti piece, basically.
Maybe not a graffiti piece.
In the thing. Well, some sort of graffiti. Yeah. But I think just more events like that, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to see things even birth from a smaller scale. Like, the idea that like we're kind of missing a bit of a Recoat would have been back in the day would have filled this space of having a small space where artists can come in and kind of give birth to ideas that they couldn't otherwise do. And I think in my mind, because I love that middle ground between like sign writing, craft, graffiti, street art, abstract art, it kind of filled that nice little niche. And I think Glasgow's a bit of a sadder place without Recoat.
I think it was a really good thing when it was going. And they had a full spectrum of the graffiti culture on show in there. They were doing, their hipster illustrationary stuff. They're also doing full-on graffiti exhibitions. I liked it. They were doing workshops. They were doing projects. They did a mural festival.
Sure.
You remember? They brought in big names.
Remind me.
I can't remember what it was called, but they had Askew doing the big double.
Of course,
thing.
yeah,
they had
for sure.
Fenton
McGee, yeah, absolutely.
Best ever, and that was cool. I didn't know it was on until it was over, so it wasn't that bloody cool for me. But I think there's a hole in our market there, because I can remember every fourth Friday or something, and everyone would go down and recoat for the show opening, and it was good.
Repaint the lane.
Have the little lane.
Something like that sorely missed, and I'd fucking love to, like, I don't even know where I would start to even do that. I don't have these kind of managerial skills, but I think that's the only thing that Glasgow's, one of the few things Glasgow's missing, that little jigsaw piece is having, that little a space like that where things can be given birth. But apart from that, I see positivity. And
I would love for city councils outside of the city centre to embrace the wall art culture. I think there's so many gable ends and beautiful walls around the city that are dying for artwork, and but they won't allocate their funds in that sort of direction, or they just don't have that vision or something, which is, it's fine. But I'd man, there's so many walls I'd like to paint.
Expand out for the city centre, maybe a bit more.
Just to not oversaturate the city centre, and to give areas that need it. Like, I don't want to gentrify these areas, which sometimes happens anyway, even though you don't really want it to happen. But there's areas where it's kind of slummy, and the area looks horrible and gets a terrible name for itself, and a big mural would look great there, and doesn't necessarily need to be on major roads. It can be there just for the locals, but I'd love to paint some more murals around Glasgow that weren't necessarily the city centre.
I think you're right there. I think that's inevitably has to happen in some way. It has to expand out, because if they're not going to rotate these walls, then the mural trail begins and ends with what you've got right now, so it inevitably has to expand out. But I think that's a pretty good idea. And if there's anyone that can do it, Sam Smug Bates, it's you. Well, I think we've covered all my little notes and more.
I mean, little diagrams on the back. Is that how far to put the camera away and stuff?
Look, there's my arch.
Oh, there's the arch from outside.
Well, listen, Sam, thank you so much.
Thanks, man,
for being my first guest on this podcast.
Guinea pig.
The guinea pig.
I'm always the guinea pig, man.
This podcast is called TalkCreate.
I've named it already. I didn't even know that. I had no idea.
I should have introduced that.
TalkCreate.
I'll get like an ident thing that I can put on the start.
An intro.
You've probably already seen it, because the intro's been already.
Oh, really?
So this is a bit meta. We're talking about something that they've already experienced. But thanks for your time.
Thanks
for
having
inviting me into your beautiful studio with views out over the Clyde, and you heard the trains going past. So we're talking about real urban graffiti, cool, graffiti, like real fucking cool vibe in here. I like it.
We're at SWG3.
SWG3, shouts out to SWG3, shouts out to Gazmac, shouts out to Joe Krogan for letting me use his microphone. Anyone you would like to shout out, Sam?
I don't know.
The Wollongong crew.
The Wollongong crew.
Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for being here with us. Bye.